Over the last few days, I've been messing around with the Hunter Glaive exotic Triton Vice. This pair of exotic gauntlets has been getting quite a bit of love over at Bungie, with it feeling like a completely different exotic from the way it launched. The most recent buffs, I think, were the cherry on top to this exotic, making it basically give all glaives chain reaction, as well as making the melee buff a lingering effect. For the uninformed, this exotic gives you a 100% damage buff when surrounded, which now has a 5-second lingering effect after things die, as well as making it so whenever you get a melee kill, it overflows a projectile shot into the magazine. On top of the previously mentioned chain reaction buff it got, it offers a very nice quality of life update to any glaive enjoyer. With that being said, why do I think this exotic is still meh? Well, to be honest, I don't. I think this exotic is great, but I just think glaives have a very strange spot in the game currently. In low-end content, they excel without the exotic, killing almost everything in just a few swings, and in endgame content, getting very close to an enemy is almost a death sentence. It's very hard to justify using glaives in the current sandbox, especially without a champion mod associated with the weapon. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't use them, as I know there are some people who still really love poking anything and everything, but for me specifically, I don't see a use for glaives specifically. I will say, while testing, I did get surprised sometimes in the sheer amount of damage the exotic gave the melee when things stacked together nicely. In this clip, I had Stylish Executioner buff with Triton's buff, as well as Vex Caliber's Overshield buff, and it melted this champion. I'm not really sure if I just haven't found the right build for this exotic and glaive combo yet. I have not tried Winterbite, which I think might be a solid option. I'm thinking about that now. Didn't try that in the Lost Sector, might go mess around with it a little bit. I don't know, I was trying to make a build with the exotic the last few days because it did just get buffed, and I think it is a fun playstyle because you don't really see glaives in the meta too often anymore. But I don't know, the Stylish Execution I was trying to take advantage of because it does give you a 250% melee buff, like a 2.5. It's pretty nice. I was trying to take advantage of Vex Caliber because you just get free overshield, so it's easier to get closer. I was trying to take advantage of Threaded Spike so I could sever targets to get closer. I was trying anything I could to get close in endgame content. It just didn't feel like enough. I was getting pretty frustrated at times in endgame because I would just die a lot, even though I was holding block with the glaive, getting an overshield, even though stuff was severed. I just felt like I couldn't do much with the glaive in endgame content, and I'm not really sure what they could do about it. But I do think Triton Vice is in a pretty solid spot overall. I think the exotic is very fun and provides a new playstyle for you. I just think in low-end content it's not really useful, so where else could you use it? Well, I don't know, legend content, which is what the Lost Sector is in the background, and I was still sort of struggling in a minus 15 Lost Sector. Not really too sure. If you guys have any suggestions, leave them in the comments. I will go mess around with Winterbite, and if I do find a solid build, I will make a video on it, because that was the whole goal of using the exotic the last few days. It just got buffed, and I think it's a fun playstyle once again, so I wanted to make a solid build to like share around and get people to try out and just put this thing on the map, basically. I think it's just, I don't know, it's very weird. I think glaives are the main issue of this exotic, unfortunately, because they just don't succeed in any content in the game, in my opinion. They're sure fun to use, poking stuff is very fun, and sometimes you can deal significant damage, like I said in that clip. The glaives just don't complement the exotic. The exotic is built fundamentally around the glaive, and instead of the exotic feeling like super exotic, it kind of feels like a quality of life buff, if that makes sense. I'm kind of all over the place with this review, by the way. No script. I'm just free talking about my like personal vendetta against this exotic because I've been using it the last few days. But I don't know. I've been changing my abilities constantly so I can try to get more close, more personal, freezing everything, severing everything. I do know I was remembering, or like I reminded myself of the fragment that severs if you do a bunch of precision hits, so maybe that's an option. I can just do an AoE sever and then get closer instead of using Threaded Spike. I don't know, there's still a few things I can test around with. If you guys have ideas, let me know in the comments, but overall, I don't know. This exotic feels good. It makes glaives feel a lot better, in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't use a glaive without this exotic, personally. Especially since it doesn't have a champion mod tied to it, like I said previously. Like, earlier seasons, Unstop was on the glaive or something like that, so you would be able to just push Unstoppables pretty freely, but I have to swap weapons, stay behind cover right now, and then I can finally stun the champion and then get close. But at that point, I have a bunch of Vandals and stuff shooting at me instead of just pushing with the glaive itself. So maybe that's all it needs. Maybe I just need to wait for a season with an artifact mod for glaives. Who really knows? I still find the playstyle pretty fun, but like I said, endgame content, I feel like they just struggle. And Triton Vice seems like it was made for endgame content. It does have in low end gameplay, it does like it give you the quality of life of chaining the projectiles with the melees and them cycling pretty well together, because you get the explosion, so you can clear ads a little bit easier with the chain reaction on projectiles, as well as the melee reloading the mag. So stuff like the Hunter Glaive with the Jolt is interesting. I was testing around with it, and I still didn't think it was that good, unfortunately. But I don't know. It's definitely an interesting exotic. I think Glaives could use more love. I think the exotic's in a solid spot, but it's just not meta by any means. Like I said, it's fun. If you enjoy poking stuff, if you enjoy getting close, it's a pretty interesting exotic because you can pair it with Excalibur and just have insane survivability. But yeah, I'm gonna go mess around with it a little bit more with Winterbite. Maybe a few more fragments and change a few things up. Try to keep proc stylish as much as possible. Who knows? And if I find a build that I really like, I will post a build video on it soon. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.